What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we're going to talk about X-Treme X-Men. We have the early information of their kits, and this is based on the strike time video that we saw. Based on the words of the developers, this is going to be a raid team with a value in other game modes like Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars and so on. And this means that this team is going to be somewhat similar to Pegasus. Hopefully that will be the case, because we remember how many reworks Pegasus had before they were relevant. But this is why we don't have the final kits of the characters yet. It's because they are still in development as we speak. Even that we are supposed to get Nightcrawler next week, so even with the character being released next Friday, we might see still some updates to their kits. So in this video we're going to try to break down as much information as possible from the videos from the developers and see to which degree this team is going to be good, right? So as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Like Cyclops, like he's the leader of the X-Men, and I'm very excited about him. I already took him to level 95, and soon I'll be maxing him out as well. Okay, so on the blog post we have literally no information about them. We have some of the tags like Hero, Global, Mutant, Brawler, X-Treme X-Men. So most of them are going to be Hero, Global, Mutant. And we have 3 blasters, 1 brawler, which is Nightcrawler, and then we have Forge as the support. Unfortunately, we still don't have artwork for them yet, but you can see right here that they are looking pretty legit. Just Forge looks a little bit strange, which is unfortunate, but he has some very interesting mechanics that we're going to talk about in a second. So, taking a look at the video. Once again, this is a raid team, and they are going to have specific raid bonuses, but once again, based on the developers, some of those bonuses are going to be also applied in other game modes. Even for Gambit, he has mechanics that only work for Cosmic Crucible. Some of those mechanics now will also work in raids, and other mechanics like, for example, the special applying ability block and having 1 charge or 2 charges. Now that's going to work in all game modes, so even the viability of Gambit in Dark Dimension 6 is going to be increased with this rework. Both the Cyclops and Gambit are going to get reworked to their stats, with the Cyclops having a bigger rework because he's an older character, but even Gambit is going to have some adjustment to their stats, hopefully also to their speed, because both of these characters are very, very slow. We'll see, it might not be the case, because you'll see early on that this team has some speed shenanigans. Okay, so you can see right away, let's put this a little bit on the slower side so you can see the mechanics. Okay, so early on you can see that they are going to get a bunch of speed bar. They are starting off with 250% speed bar. And I think the enemies, they start with less speed bar. So they have speed bar reduction and they have speed bar plus. And you also have offense down on all the enemies, which is great. Can you imagine offense down on all characters from the beginning? And you also see that characters like Absorbing Man will not be able to spawn with taunt. So you can see right now, he has deflect, but he does not have offense down, or he does not have taunt. Nightcrawler first ability. This is going to be the special ability, which costs 4 energy. It's going to apply stun and exposed. Yes, stun and exposed. That means you can pair him up with Val and with Super Scroll to benefit of that exposed mechanic. And this is going to be very fast. As you can see early on, stun, expose, revive and charges on Quicksilver, and this completely shuts down the enemies. Then Nightcrawler is going to jump around to different characters, and is also going to apply bleeds to those characters. On top of that, Nightcrawler is also going to turn rewind the enemies by 5%, and speed up our team by 5% as well. This is similar to the basic of Black Cat, but with the Nightcrawler is going to infect the entire teams, but it's a small amount of percentage. Okay, so now we have a Sunspot. Sunspot with his ultimate, he can remove charges, so you can see right here they are attacking Quicksilver because they are trying to remove his charges, because he's already stunned, right? He's already stunned, he's not going to go anywhere, but they need to remove his charges so he doesn't attack multiple times. On top of that, Sunspot also applies ability block, which is very decent, because if you have a turn 1 stun, if you have a turn 1 ability block, that means you have PvP viability. So this team not only is going to shine in raids, but also in Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, maybe even Avengers Tower. Now, what about the unlimited X-Men team? If you have Gambit here, what happens with them? Well, I mean, we can put Rogue here, or we can use Apocalypse together with Rogue because they have that Horseman synergy. So it's not like we are losing everything. Okay, let's move on. Let's take a look at some of the effects of the team. So you can see right here that Sunspot is also going to apply slow to the enemies. We also have additional stuns. I'm not exactly sure how this stun works, if it's on the primary target or if it's something else, because I mean he already applies ability block, so maybe applies stun to one random target, or maybe he extends the negative effects. Maybe that's the case. Maybe he's extending the negative effects on all characters, because yeah, for sure he applies ability block and then extends the negative effects on the other characters, which is very good. Like with a stun turn 1 and then extending, that's huge value with these characters. Okay, so beyond that, yeah, you can see the ability block got extended. So then Sunspot is going to give a bunch of energy to the team, and you can see that the charges are popping up on Cyclops, which is great because Cyclops is going to be able to do his ultimate turn 1, and the damage from Cyclops is absolutely devastating. You saw there hits of 2 million damage, and this is with a low charge Cyclops, which is pretty insane. But the ability is still avoidable. So yeah, if the characters have evades, you can fail that ability. So you have to be careful with that. You want to make sure that you stun the characters with evades or with dodges, so after you can land the ultimate on everyone. So here Gambit, once again, now he spawns with 2 charges, and he's going to give speed and evades for everyone. So this is going to be very powerful on the room 4 of Cosmic Crucible, on offense or on defense, because if you have evades, if you go under stealth, you get 20% more damage, and that means both Gambit and Cyclops, or even Sunspot, they are really going to clap the enemies. Okay, let's see what more we can interpolate from this. You can see Cyclops is getting 3 charges per turn of the allies, I think. And the Forge has a very interesting mechanic, which is every time he has a turn, he gets a new gadget. Up to 3 gadgets. He can get all the 3 gadgets, but which gadget you get is random. And that means that some raids you might have one effect early on, other times you might get another effect early on, which is definitely interesting, but we don't know for sure yet, right? We don't have information. But you can see that Forge also gives energy to the team. They have quite big cooldowns, but they also have a lot of energy mechanics. So you can see once again, Safeguard, Charge, Evades, Offense Subs, Death Proofs. This is kind of crazy. This team has so many buffs, it's quite amazing. And then we have that Safeguard to protect the team against characters like Dormammu, like Eternals. This is going to be a very, very exciting team for sure. The Evade alone is very powerful. Having so many Evades is definitely going to be very powerful in multiple game modes. You can see Gambit clapping for 400,000 with his passive, 600,000 crit now. That's very, very impressive in terms of damage. And this is without offense up and without defense down on the enemy. So you can imagine that in other game modes, you can create situations where Gambit is going to clap even harder. So for example, using Phoenix together with these guys, to have even additional damage, additional health, and so on. Okay, so there we go. This team is looking very, very good. Very excited for this team. I really like the design of all of the characters. I think they really nailed it. I just don't like the mustache on Forge. It looks a little bit weird. Very diverse from what I know, which is some of the comic books from the 90s and also the TV show from the 90s. Okay, here we go. Gambit Ultimate, still doing an insane amount of damage. And now with all these charges and energy floating around, you're going to be able to use these abilities way more often. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get this going a little bit faster. The developers talk about the ISO 8 for these characters. Once again, we have 3 blasters, 1 brawler and 1 support. And based on what I understand, the characters are going to have a lot of focus, and they also get offense up. That means 50% more focus, and that means you don't need a lot of skirmishers. You can see the basic of Cyclops here doing defense down, and this is something that you have to play around. Do you want to use Cyclops to apply the defense down to the enemies, or just use him as a raider and to be as destructive as possible, as fast as possible? This is something that we are probably having to debate in the near future, because once again, we have important debuffs like stun, like ability block, like extending negative effects, like removing charges, and with all those effects going on, it's also important to have the focus. So you really need to see if the best option is going to be the raider or not. So on spawn, they got a bunch of energy. They got like 3 energy right away. And here we are going to have a moment of Cyclops that is going to obliterate the enemies. It's going to be very, very impressive, the amount of damage that Cyclops does. This ultimate ability looks amazing. I really like that background with the sun. Sunspot once again gave a bunch of energy to the entire team, and now Cyclops, look at this. So let's try to pause it on the exact moment. So yes, Cyclops is going to crit for 6 million damage. 6 million damage. There is no character right now in the game that has 6 million health. So this is definitely very, very impressive, and he absolutely obliterated everyone on the field, which is very, very impressive. And then we have 3 more enemies. Once again, with the amount of charges and energy this team is floating around, it's definitely not going to be a problem to spam ultimates and go back to back from one node to the other. The developers mentioned that you can sim with this team, but I'm not sure, because this team, they have very long cooldowns. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but both Sunspot and Forge, they have abilities that cost 10 energy, which is quite a lot. But as you guys can see, we have a lot of energy floating around anyway. Okay, so let's pause the video. It's pretty much done. After a little bit, they show here that yes, you can sim the raids if you want, if you so decide to sim the raids. Here we have the ISO 8 setup that they are using, but this is also a team full of diamonds and maxed out, right? So is it gonna work for everyone, or is just for people with 3 diamonds that are going to be able to do this? So here they use 3 raiders, 1 skirmisher, 1 healer. Once again, this is because Sunspot is going to remove charges, apply ability block, extend negative effects. So those, maybe it just doesn't have enough focus, or it doesn't get offense up early enough to have that additional 50% focus. But once again, you're going to be able to sim with this team on difficulty 2, which let's be honest, it's not very impressive. So yeah, we might have higher difficulties coming to the raids soon. Now, the last thing we have to talk about is just the ISO 8 of the characters and the stats of the characters. So this might be my interpretation, but I think Nightcrawler is going to give HP to X-Men characters the same way that Gambit does. So X-Men gives to Unlimited, but also to X-Men across the board. So that's going to be great. Nightcrawler has massive amount of damage, massive amount of armor. And once again, you can see that the focus, it's okay. It's not the best, but not the worst for sure. 40,000 is pretty decent. But yeah, it really depends on which teams we are facing. The HP is just really what I want you guys to notice, because it's definitely very, very massive. Okay, so it can be Striker or Raider. they go through a few options. Let's speed this up a little bit. Then we have Forge. They decide Forge could be a healer. Once again, we have a decent amount of HP, but this is why I think that both Nightcrawler and Gambit are going to give HP to the entire team, because it doesn't make sense for the support character to have less HP. Forge has an insane amount of armor. 120,000 armor is very, very impressive, which means that this team is going to be super solid on defense. It might be actually quite scary. Sunspot with very high damage, 185,000 damage, that's super, super impressive. But once again, the focus is decent, but it might be the point of concern. Once again, this is our characters with diamonds, I guess. I mean, they are all 500k in terms of power, so for sure they have diamonds, and they even recommend him as a skirmisher, so the focus on this team might be definitely a problem. Okay, Cyclops doesn't have any of those problems. His damage is a little bit lower compared to the other characters, but maybe Sunspot is going to buff the damage of everyone. Gambit's damage still impressive, but once again I assume that Sunspot is going to give damage for everyone. Armor is decent, but I guess Sunspot gives, I guess Forge gives more armor, and then Gambit and Nightcrawler give more HP for everyone. So I think that's all the information that we have from the Strike Time video. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited for this team. I'm a big fan of Cyclops, and it has been a long time waiting for some of these characters. I'm also a big fan of Forge, even that he doesn't have like the best look in my opinion. The other characters look pretty legit, and overall I think this team is going to be very exciting to play. Once again, based on the developers' words, this is going to be a team that not only does raids, but are also going to have value in other game modes. So I really hope that's going to be the case, because let's be honest, most people are a lot of people are fans of X-Men. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and if you found the information helpful, share it with your friends across the MSF community. Let me know in the comments below how excited you are for this team. Are any of these characters, are you a fan of them? Are you excited for this team outside of raids as well? Do you believe the words of the developers that they are going to be useful in other game modes? Let me know on that on the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, As always, if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Mouse Rifles content, and I will catch you guys later. I apologize, it's late, and I wish you guys a good weekend. Take care.